Hi everyone. In today's video, we are resuming on our existing series of expense tracker, where we are building a portfolio using expense tracker being built in Angular. So in our last videos, we have worked on signal, then reactive forms, then have worked on routing and the lazy loading, creating an HTTP client and JSON server, then have seen effects and then interceptors. So if you haven't watched these videos, this will be showing up here on top of this video. So you can follow that playlist. Today, we'll be focusing on the custom pipes. So without further ado, let me share the screen. So as I mentioned, our topic for today is custom pipes. So let's just discuss what a pipe is in Angular. A pipe itself is a pure transformational function that formats a value for a display in template. So what does it mean? It just take a value, transform it, and returns a new value without ever modifying the original value. So we already have like used built-in pipes, which I'll be quickly showcasing you in the VS Code. So we have used with amount with a pipe used number, and then for date we have used a pipe used with date having an argument of short, and for title we have used uppercase as a pipe showing every letter in uppercase. So the pipe symbol is the pipe operator, and everything that after it is pipe name, and optionally followed by a colon and then argument, which you can see here on the second one, where date follows a colon and then within a single apostrophes, it's like short. So why we need custom pipes? Right now, like our templates have raw display logic. What does it do? It can display like date, and we have hard coded our currency symbol, and we have used the like normal or default pipe which is of number, and they're like this is more of a raw type. What does the problem is? You can see the currency is hard coded. So if we need to change the currency, we need to change it in several places, and even the date formatting logic is like hard to test and inconsistent across the page. So and the category like food travel, so it's not that appealing, it's just a plain text. So we haven't used any icon or no color context is being there. So how our custom pipes are going to solve all these three? What we are going to do, this is just like a visual of how once we achieve everything, how we'll be using it. So we'll be using a pipe TimeAgo, which quickly show us that any expense if being done, how long it have been done. Was it like 2 days ago? Is it 1 week ago? Or what so else? Then we'll be using the currency, the PKR currency, which will be using the currency symbol automatically. And then we have a category icon. So once we write these like custom pipes, so only we require this transformation once, and then we can use it anywhere. So there are like two type of pipes. One is a pure pipe and one is impure. So what does a pure pipe mean? The pure pipe only reruns when its input value changes. So what does the Angular do? It memorizes the result. If the same value comes in twice, the cached result is written without rerunning the transformation. So it makes it more efficient. So you can see that the pipe that we are using is a pure pipe, only runs when the amount changes. This makes pipe very performant, as I already mentioned, because Angular skips unnecessary regression. And an impure pipe is going to run on every single like the change detection cycle, and we are not going to use impure pipes in our use case. So anatomy of a custom pipe. So let's just quickly see how the pipes are being created. So you can see with the import, we have imported pipe and pipe transformation, and again attribute name pipe, in which we are using the name of the pipe. So what's the name of our pipe? We have written it over there. And with version 17 plus, we are going to use standalone 2. So no ng module is being needed over here. So as we are working on v21, so we'll be focusing on this code. And you can see like the my pipe class is being implemented using a pipe transform. Why do pipe transform is being used? Because this enforces us to like create or at least implement a transform method, which is very much required for this custom pipe to work. So what's being like used in template? So you can see a value, and then after the pipe, the name of the pipe. And if there are any arguments post the column, these arguments have been used. So transform is the only required method I just mentioned. Its first argument is always the pipe value, which we have like seen some value, and additional argument come from the template after column. So what we are going to build here? So we are going to build like three pipes, which we have quickly seen. So one is going to be the TimeAgo pipe, which is going to convert a date string into a human readable relative time. So you can see if a date is like 2 days back, so it's going to say 2 days ago. And if it's 1 month back, it's going to say 1 month ago. Then comes the PKR currency like pipe. It's going to format number as Pakistani currency with proper formatting. So you can see instead of PKR, we are using proper RS, and then the amount is properly formatted using a comma, post three like numbers, and even a decimal can be used properly if need be. Then comes the category icon. What it's going to do, we have created a map for this category and emoji icon. And what we are going to do, if any category is being used, so against a food, this icon is going to get displaced next to this food. So with this being done, so let's just quickly see like the folder structure somewhat on a similar lines like any other which we have done in the previous. Within the app, we are going to create a pipes folder, and within the pipe folders, there are going to be three these custom pipes files. And once we create all, so we are going to use this in our templates. So let's just try creating this file. So I'm going to create a pipes folder first, and then I'm going to create this time-ago.pipe.ts file. So let me just quickly showcase this to you, and let me just quickly go and create that folder and create the file as well. So just wait a minute. Okay, so I'm here in the code, and I'm going to create a new folder named as pipes. So pipes has been created. Let me just add the file name. So it's going to be a new file, and I'm going to call this, let me copy the exact name from there. So I'm going to keep this name as time-ago.pipe.ts. So with this file being created, let me just copy the code. Let me close all other files. Close others. So only this file is open at this point of time. Let me copy the code. Okay, I have copied the code. So let's just quickly see what this all about. So let's just move to our slides for the textual definition, and then we'll be coming back to this code. So what does every piece means? So add pipe is going to be used with like a name is being used, like TimeAgo is the pipe name, custom pipe name, and custom alone, standalone is the true over here. So what does it mean? Like name TimeAgo, this is exactly what we write in the template after the pipe. And as Angular is case sensitive, so like we should be aware of using the proper casing. So if it's like camel case like TimeAgo, so we should use the same way within the template. Otherwise, it's not going to work. The second thing is a standalone true, somewhat similar as component and services in like 17 plus. So we are not going to use any ng module, and we have like imported the pipe directly. So wherever we want to use it. And what it's going to do is going to implement PipeTransform. I just mentioned like the TypeScript interface that enforce one thing. So that's the like basically the transform method. So if we forget it, we are going to get a compile time error. So within the transform, the value you can see, the first argument value is whatever appears before the pipe in the template. So we accept both string and date over here. So for this value, string and date, both are being accepted because it can come in either format depending on the source. And what the return type is going to be. So pipe is always going to return a string. So you can see like post colon, there is a string. So Angular always directly write into the DOM using this string. So how this like conversion block works. So you can see a constant date, which is again going to check if the value is of type string, so it's going to create a new date using that value. And if it's already a date, so it's going to get like written in a similar way. So you can see again, if the value is already a date, so no double conversion is being used and we are going to return it directly. Then there is one more thing is being used is NaN. So is not a number, is basically it's going to return the and within that a function is being used for date.getTime. What does it do? It's just the number of milliseconds since January 1st, 1970. So this is a default time in most of the time libraries. So if the date string is invalid, so it doesn't, if it doesn't look like a date, and so what the new date is going to do, it's not going to create any object, and it's going to like get is not a number check. So what does it do? So it returns like empty sort of a with this column empty value. So the template shows nothing instead of crashing. So it's not going to crash, but it's going to absorb this change and it's going to catch and gracefully handle this. And you can see there is a time chain calculation within the code, which you will be looking at once we will be walking through the whole code in a single go. So you can see first we are getting the now.getTime and we are like subtracting the date.getTime. So millisecond between dates is coming. Then we are converting it to seconds, then minutes. And you can see in all those, the previous have been used. So every step is built on previous, and math floor is being used to round down. So we do not get any decimal based numbers. Like either we need to show 1 day or 2 day, but we can't say 1.7 days. So this is the reason. Then comes one more thing, like there's a pluralization ternary. Let's say if there is 1 day, so we can write 1 day. But if there is, it's 2 days ago, so we have to use like days. So we have to use S. So to make that happen, what is it's doing over here? It's checking if the difference of date is 1. So it's going to return an empty thing. Otherwise, it's going to return an S, which is going to get appended with the day, making it days ago. And so again, somewhat on a similar line, it's saying the same thing. So you can see 1 minute ago, 1 hour ago, it's being done for every like either hour, day, or minute. Then comes the like if chain. So if chain again, so if the time difference is less than 60 seconds, so it's just now. And if the difference is more than or basically less than 67, so certain minutes and then hours, so somewhat on a similar lines, it's being used to chain that logic. And you can see every condition is going to return as early as possible, because if like first condition is being met, so it's being written way earlier. So it's the conditions are going to go from smallest to largest. So in that specific match, whichever wins, so it's going to get written. So you can see over here, as just I has discussed, like 60 seconds, 60 minutes, or 24 hours. So whatever is going to be the case, so it's going to written like just now, 10 minutes ago, or something like that. So with this being done, so let's just try creating the second custom pipe, and we need to call it PKR currency pipe. So let me just go and create that. So PKR dash currency dot pipe dot ts. So let me copy the code. So I have copied this PKR currency pipe. So you can see the pipe is being there. The name of the pipe over here. Again, it's implementing the pipe transform. And within the transform, it's the value which is being accepted over here, and all the logic is being there. So let's just quickly see it in the slides. So as we have seen the code, so let's just quickly see what does it each piece mean. So transform is having like 3 arguments this time. So one is a value. Value can be a number, null, or undefined. The reason for this is that because we are accepting null and undefined, because the signal from which the values are going to get like returned, they can hold those values before data loads. So to make it workable, so we are allowing it. It could be number, null, and undefined. Then comes the show symbol. So if it's true, so what it's going to do, it's going to prepend RS, and it's going to like default to true. If we haven't set it, so it's going to be like RS is going to be the default symbol depended to our value, and if we explicitly set it to false, then it's not going to show. And then comes the decimal. So how many decimals? We are keeping it default to 0 because most of the numbers are going to be a whole number. So if we need to like pass or keep track of the pesos as well, so we'll be passing 2 to it. So within the template, how we are going to use it, you can see we are going to use the pkr, and if we want like this to be displayed, rs to be displayed, so we can use true colon 2, and if we want no symbol, so we can use it as a false. So as I just mentioned, the argument after pipe names are separated by colon. Now comes another function which have been like used over here, that is international.number format. So basically this is a built-in JavaScript API for locale aware number formatting. What does it do? It handles comma placement correctly for different locals, because if for like local here in Pakistan, it's being like used after the comma is being used in certain other formats or locales, any other different symbol might have been used. So we do not need to do any manual changes. So this is the reason this international number formatting is being used. So over here, we are using the en-pk locale for English as used in Pakistan, and it uses the comma as the thousand separator. In other locales, they might be using dot to separate this thousands, so which might like confuse the audience here in like Pakistan, or if any other company is using a different locale, so it might be confusing for that respective natives. So with that being done, why we haven't used the Angular's like built-in currency pipe? Because Angular itself comes up with a currency pipe, but over here you can see it's using pkr instead of the one like which is being used locally, which is rs. So two problems. It shows again like pkr instead of rs, so not what how Pakistani typically write it, and it's always shoot to two decimal places. So for certain numbers, we do not want this to show like these two decimal places, and it sometimes requires like local id configuration from some locals. So our custom pipe give us full control over the exact format what we want, and if we need to change, we can do that. And you can see the null undefined guard is being there. So if the value is null, undefined, or is not a number value, so it's going to return empty. So these separately checks for these three things. Like if the signal is not loaded yet, so null is uh, being like sent, and it's going to return an empty value. For the same, for the like undefined, it's going to happen. And if someone passed a non-number accidentally, so it's again going to return a number null. So all three return like empty string. So the template show nothing rather than rupees NaN or crashing. So let's go for the third category icon pipe. So we need to create a new file which is going to call category-icon.pipe.ts. So let's just create that category-icon file, and it's going to be on the same lines or same folder, which is pipe. So this is the code over here. So let me copy this. So I've created this file. So let me copy the code. I have copied the code as well. So let's just quickly discuss what we have, what pieces are here in this code. Okay, so let's discuss what each piece means. So we are using a private icon, and again, the record have been used for category and string. So again, this is a lookup table. So an object that maps each category to its emoji. So we are going to define it as a class property. So it's once created once, and when the pipe is instantiated and reused on every transform call. So this means every key must be a valid category and every value must be a string. So TypeScript will error like if you miss a category or add one that doesn't exist in the union type. So basically this is again the same union type which we have used in our previous video. And instead of using any enum, so this is the union type, and it's going to enforce the completeness. So you can see the private icons and then this like union type, and within that a food, travel, and all other being used over here. So like transform value show label is being used again like two arguments. One is like value, which we are accepting as a category or a string. So the category name coming from the template, we are going to accept a string as well as a category because template values are not always strictly typed. So, and what does show label means? if we are going to set it to true, it's going to show the category name and it's going to default to true. But let's say if we have a compact layout, and let's say in the filter pills where the space is tight, so we just need to show the icon only. So we can change this category icon to false and only the icon is going to get shown. And with this burger icon, we will be able to comprehend that we are like looking at the food category. So you can see this icons and the value category is getting, and if there is like you can see if this dot icons is going to type or session type. So we basically tell TypeScript to treat the string as a category key for the lookup, and then the or like is a fallback type. So if somehow any unknown category is being passed, the box emoji is going to return instead of undefined. So for any unknown category, this category is going to show up. And you can see over here, like we are going to use this show return show label. So there are like two possible outputs. One can be an icon and one can be like without an icon. So we use the original value string for the label, not a hard coded string. So if any category over like ever changes, the label is going to update automatically. And let's just quickly compare all these three pipes. So you can see in the TimeAgo, we are using like input is a date and output is like 2 days ago. And there are no arguments. For a PKR, that's like output is RS and 3,500. And it's going to like arguments are show symbol and decimal, and a food, it's going to an icon and show label is being used. So step 4 is we need to use the pipe. So far we have created the custom pipes, but we haven't used it. So we need to do two things for each component: import the pipe into the component class and update the template. So we have like multiple components: expense, budget, and the dashboard. So let's just update the expense component first. So basically this is going to show all the expenses. So we are going to import it within the expense.ts file, and we need to update this expense list. So let me just copy the code. So we have imported these three custom pipes, and inside the component, we have also used these imports over here. So let's just quickly move to the template. Let me open the expense template, and we are going to change the code over here as well. So I'm going to modify this expense list over here. So let me just paste it over here, and you can see now we are using these pipes category icon, TimeAgo, and PKR currency. So let me just save this. Let me save this as well. Hopefully this should not. Okay, we'll see to this later, but seems like it's going to get sorted. So we have done these two things, like for expenses, we have done it in the change in the like TS file as well as the HTML. So we also need to like update the filter pills to this. So let's just quickly go to the filter pills as well. So over here, I'm going to update this filter pills. So over here, you can again see like this category icon is going to get used. So let's just quickly save this again and let's move forward. Now we are going to update this dashboard icon. The first, we are going to update the TS file. So let me update that on a similar lines as we have done it within the budget or the expense one. So let's just quickly go over there. So over here, again, I have copied this custom pipes and import over here. So let's just move forward and change the HTML template as well. So within this dashboard, we need to update the summary cards. So let me just update that, and you can see PKR currency has been used over here. So let me just save that. Also, we need to update these budget bars. So let me just update that as well. So over here, I have again pasted the code, and this PKR currency is being used over here. And let's just quickly go to the budgets. So again, on a similar lines, I'm going to update the budget TS and then the budget as HTML. So I have copied the only two like custom pipes over here, and same for the import over here. Let me move to the HTML template. So again here, I'm going to copy a new code for this budget bars. And again, you'll be looking at over here that I'm going to use this PKR currency and a category icon over here. So let me just save this. So we have done all these. So you can see uh, prior to our these custom pipes, what we were using, we were simply using RS, a hard-coded RS, and we were using some basic like pipes, like number. And with after this, what we are using proper custom pipes over here. And same data and same structure template is something like, but the display is going to be much different and more readable. So in a while, I'm going to showcase and test each and everything along with you. So let's just try testing all these pipes. So let me just run the app first. So I have run the application, and now you can see, like with this category, we are able to see these icons. And over here, even you can see this expenses. Let me just quickly show you. So once you are looking at the expense, so this being tagged over here and over here, these all the icons are getting tagged. And with this like expense, this RS is being added and a proper formatting is being done. So let's just try adding a new expense. Now let me just this. Let me just call it bills. So it's going to add as the API servers are not there, but still it's going to get added because we do have this local storage being added. So you can see, and for some reason it's showing not the exact time because it might be using any different locale. So this is something which we need to cater. Let me just try adding one more new one. Let me just see to the food one. So there is one caveat. I need to get that fixed because it should show just now, but for some reason it's returning it. So I'm hopeful that you are able to follow along with me how custom pipes do work. So I'm very hopeful that with this being in your arsenal, you will now be able to create any custom pipes. And if you want to look at the code, I'll be pushing it in the same repository, and even this like demo URL is going to be updated as well. So feel free to like and subscribe the video and like the channel for these type of videos. And if you want something to be fixed and something needs to be improved, so feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to improvise on that. So thanks for watching. Bye.